In the digital age, our lives are chronicled in pixels and timestamps. A photo, a status update, a final check-in. These have become the breadcrumbs we leave behind, creating a map of our moments for the world to see. But what happens when that trail suddenly goes cold? When a final, cheerful post becomes the first clue in a desperate search, and a digital camera becomes the only witness to a tragedy? This is the story of how the last digital footprints of missing hikers became haunting final goodbyes, leaving investigators to piece together their final moments from a handful of photos, a log of failed emergency calls, and a journal never meant to be read. Welcome to Vanishing Threads. Today we examine 3 concluded cases that highlight the chilling role technology plays when someone vanishes into the wild. We will explore the disappearances of Kris and Lisanne Froon in the jungles of Panama, the long, lonely survival of Geraldine Largay on the Appalachian Trail, and the final, joyful selfie of Sarah Buick on the highest peak in Scotland. In March 2014, 2 young Dutch women, 22-year-old Lisanne Froon and 21-year-old Kris Kremers, embarked on the adventure of a lifetime. Lisanne, a recent graduate in applied sciences, was described as aspiring, intelligent, and a talented volleyball player. Kris was open, creative, and artistic, having just finished her studies in cultural social education. They had worked together for months at a cafe in Amersfoort, saving up for a 6-week trip to Panama. It was to be a celebration of their hard work and a chance to immerse themselves in a new culture, learn Spanish, and volunteer with local children. After 2 weeks of traveling, they arrived in the picturesque mountain town of Buick, famous for its coffee plantations and lush green landscapes. They were scheduled to begin their volunteer work with a local family on April 2nd. With a day to spare, they decided to explore. On the morning of April 1st, 2014, they set out for a hike on the El Pianista Trail, a popular route that winds through the cloud forests near the Baru volcano. They posted on Facebook about their plans to walk around the town and were seen having brunch with 2 other Dutch men before they took a taxi to the trailhead around 1 p.m. They were dressed lightly, carrying only a small backpack with them. They told their taxi driver they planned to return that afternoon. They were never seen alive again. When the women missed their appointment with a local guide the next day, the alarm was raised. Their host family, concerned, checked their room and found all their belongings untouched. An initial search by local police and guides found nothing. Within days, a full-scale operation was underway, with Dutch detectives, search dogs, and helicopter support joining the effort. For 10 weeks, they scoured the dense, unforgiving jungle, but there was nothing. The jungle kept its secrets. The first clue came on June 14th, when a local woman from the Ngobi tribe found Lisanne's blue backpack by a riverbank, miles from where the women had started their hike. Inside, the contents were a digital time capsule, 2 pairs of sunglasses, $83 in cash, a water bottle, Lisanne's passport, and most importantly, their 2 smartphones and Lisanne's Canon PowerShot camera. What the devices revealed was a haunting hour-by-hour timeline of their final days. The camera contained photos from April 1st. The early images, starting around 1 p.m., were normal tourist snapshots, smiling selfies against the lush green backdrop, pictures of the trail. They reached the summit, a scenic overlook, around 2 p.m. But they didn't turn back. Subsequent photos show them continuing on, into the wilderness beyond the marked trail, following a path that is known to become treacherous and difficult to navigate. The first sign of distress appeared in their phone logs. At 4:39 p.m., just hours after reaching the summit, the first emergency call was made from Kris's iPhone to 112, the international emergency number. 12 minutes later, at 4:51 p.m., another call was made from Lisanne's Samsung to 911. Neither went through due to a lack of reception. The jungle canopy was too thick. Over the next 10 days, the phones logged a series of desperate attempts to find a signal. There were multiple attempts to call for help on April 2nd and 3rd. After that, the phones were switched on and off periodically, likely to conserve battery while searching for service. On April 5th, at 4:50 a.m., Lisanne's phone was turned on, but the PIN was not entered. Just over a minute later, Kris's iPhone was turned on, but this time, the wrong pin was entered. This was the first and only time the wrong pin was used, suggesting that by this point, Kris may have been unable to access it herself, and Lisanne was trying to get into her friend's phone. Then came the most disturbing evidence. On April 8th, between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., 90 flash photos were taken with Lisanne's camera. The images were taken in near total darkness, with one photo being taken every 2 minutes on average. Most are just black frames, but a few offer terrifying glimpses into their final location: a rocky ravine, a twig with plastic bags and candy wrappers on it, a backpack strap, a strange arrangement of rocks and a mirror, and a chilling photo showing the back of Kris Kremers' head with what appears to be blood in her hair. The last phone activity was on April 11th. After that, silence. The discovery of the backpack led to a renewed search, and soon scattered bone fragments were found along the same river. DNA testing confirmed they belonged to Kris and Lisanne. While no official cause of death has ever been ruled, the digital evidence left behind tells a grim story of two young women lost in an unforgiving wilderness, documenting their own slow, tragic end. In 2013, Geraldine Largay was living her dream. At 66 years old, the retired Air Force nurse from Tennessee had set out to hike the entire 2,100-mile Appalachian Trail. She was an experienced hiker, but she was also, by her own admission, afraid of the dark and had a poor sense of direction. To support her, her husband of 42 years, George, took on the role of a one-man support crew. His trail name was Sherpa. He would meet her at road crossings with supplies, drive her to a motel for the night, and drop her back at the trail the next morning. Jerry's trail name was Inchworm, a nod to her steady, determined pace. By July, she had hiked over 1,000 miles and was making her way through a remote, rugged section of the trail in Maine. On the morning of July 22nd, George saw her for the last time. He watched her walk into the woods, expecting to meet her at their next rendezvous point, the Route 27 crossing, the following day. But Jerry never arrived. Her disappearance sparked one of the largest and most intense search operations in Maine's history. For weeks, then months, then years, wardens, volunteers, and dog teams scoured the dense forest. But they found nothing. It was as if she had vanished. For more than 2 years, her fate remained a mystery. Then, in October 2015, a forester conducting a survey stumbled upon a collapsed tent in a remote, overgrown area just a few miles from the trail. Inside, he found human remains, a backpack, and a journal. It was Gerry Largay, and in her final days, she had left behind a different kind of digital footprint, not of photos or GPS pings, but of words, typed and written, that chronicled her final heartbreaking ordeal. Her cell phone revealed her first attempts to get help. On July 22nd, the day she got lost, she had stepped off the trail to find a secluded spot to use the bathroom. When she tried to return, she became disoriented. At 11 a.m., she sent a text to her husband. "In some trouble, got off trail to go to BR, now lost. Can you call AMC to see if a trail maintainer can help me? Somewhere north of Woods Road, XOX. Due to the remote location, the text never sent. She tried again and again, 11 times in total, climbing to higher ground in a desperate search for a signal. The next day, she tried again. "Lost since yesterday. Off trail 3 or 4 miles. Call police for what to do POLS XOX. That message also failed to send. Realizing she was truly alone, Gerry set up her final camp, and she began to write. For 26 days, she survived, rationing her food and waiting for a rescue that would never come. Her journal, a small black notebook, became her only companion. She documented the dwindling hope, the failed attempts to find her way, and the slow acceptance of her fate. Her final entry was a heartbreaking note, torn from the journal and placed in a waterproof bag with her remaining possessions. It read, "When you find my body, please call my husband George and my daughter Kerry. It will be the greatest kindness for them to know that I am dead and where you found me, no matter how many years from now. please find it in your heart to mail the contents of this bag to one of them. She had survived for nearly a month, alone in the wilderness. Her last journal entry was dated August 18th, 2013, though it's possible she lived for a few days after that. She died in her sleeping bag, inside her tent, from lack of food and exposure, just a 30-minute walk from a logging road that might have saved her. Our final story takes us to the misty slopes of Ben Nevis, Scotland's highest mountain. On June 22nd, 2021, Sarah Buick, a 24-year-old experienced walker from Dundee, stood at the 44,000-foot summit. An avid and passionate hiker, she often shared photos of her adventures on social media. At 5 a.m. in the quiet solitude of the early morning, she posted a smiling selfie to her Facebook page. The caption was cheerful and full of life. "Good morning, from Ben Nevis." It was her last post. When she didn't return home and couldn't be contacted, her friends and family reported her missing. Her final selfie immediately became the central focus of the search. It confirmed she had reached the summit safely and provided a precise timestamp and a clear visual of what she was wearing. The Lochaber Mountain Rescue Team, along with police and search helicopters, launched a massive operation, using her last known digital location as their starting point. For 2 days, the search continued, fueled by public appeals that spread across social media. The hiking community and the public at large shared her photo, the haunting image of her happy face at the summit, hoping for a positive outcome. Her friends described her as a bright, adventurous soul who was at her happiest in the mountains. Tragically, on the afternoon of June 24th, a body was found in a steep ravine about halfway down the mountain, in an area known as the Red Burn. It was later confirmed to be Sarah Buick. Police stated there were no suspicious circumstances. It is believed she fell while making her descent from the summit, a tragic accident in the unpredictable mountain environment. In this case, the final post didn't chronicle days of survival or a desperate fight for life. Instead, it was a single, joyful moment that became an immediate and heartbreaking marker of a life cut short. It provided a critical starting point for rescuers, but it also served as a stark public reminder of how quickly a beautiful adventure can turn into a tragedy. Her final digital footprint wasn't a cry for help, but a celebration of the very passion that led her to that fateful mountain. From the dense jungles of Panama to the rugged wilderness of the Appalachian Trail to the misty highlands of Scotland, these stories are linked by a common, modern thread. The final digital records of these hikers provided the only narrative of their fate. For investigators and families, they are both a blessing and a curse, a source of crucial information, but also a permanent, painful reminder of a final goodbye sent out into the world unknowingly. These digital ghosts serve as a powerful testament to the stories that can be told, even after a voice has been silenced. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, stay curious, stay safe.